up a dive. Feel the vibe, get ready to ignite. Untold stories in the airways, flying through the night. Experience voices, tales so bold. Streaming live, the truth unfolds. Untold Radio Network, where secrets come alive. New episodes daily, the mysteries thrive. Great guests, super chat, it's so I remember right. Share and subscribe, join the side where truth can't hide. Aliens in the attic, UFOs in the sky. Cryptids lurking, oh my, oh my. Ghosts in the hallway, whispering your name. The paranormal, the unexplained. Become a VIP, get the inside scoop. Unlock the mysteries, be part of the group. Live streaming stories, they're talking to you. Super chats buzzing, join the crew. Untold Radio Network, the secrets come alive. New episodes daily, the mysteries thrive. Great guests, super chat, it's a wild member. Share and subscribe, on the side where truth can hide. So if you've got the guts and you want to explore, tune into the untold, it's what you're looking for. From aliens to ghosts and all that's unseen. Untold Radio Network, where the world's mysteries convene.
Good morning, monsters. My name is Barnaby Jones, and I am your host of Monsters on the Edge here on the Untold Radio Network. Today's show is going to be pre-recorded, just so you guys know off the top. If you're asking any questions or comments throughout the show and we're not answering them, that would be why. Coming up, guys, we are off a big 3-day weekend in Eau Claire, and our next event coming up is going to be the Wisconsin Cryptids, Anomalies, and Paranormal Convention in Appleton, Wisconsin, Saturday, May 10th. It's going to be a great event here. All of our wonderful speakers are going to be at this, plus the debut of the CAP's brand new documentary, The Hairy Man of Dairyland, Wisconsin's Bigfoot, as well as Angela Zabel's psychic gallery reading that evening. So it's going to be a full day of activities in Appleton. Make sure you guys can come out if you can make it. Otherwise, if you can't, we have virtual tickets. All of our speakers that day are going to be live streamed. So if you cannot watch it live or cannot make it out in person, grab yourself a virtual ticket for just $5 and you can hear all of our great speakers at your convenience. And then, guys, we head down to the Paranormal Convention in Chicago, June 7th in Countryside, Illinois. That's going to be another great event. Admission is only $1. It is always a great time. We've been there the last couple years. Amazing event. And then I will be at SilCon in Gaze, Illinois in September. And we got some more events coming up. Make sure you head on over to thewisconsincaps.com, click on the public events page, and get all the information of all of our upcoming events. If you want to show your support for all things here on the Untold Radio Network, here's how.
Hey, Untold Radio Network fans. Want exclusive perks and to support our channel? Introducing our YouTube membership program with 3 amazing levels. Get loyalty badges that level up to different cryptids the longer you're a supporter. How cool is that? You'll also get access to custom Bigfoot emojis and priority in chat. Upgrade to Backstage Pass for exclusive wallpapers, photos, status updates, discounted books, and merchandise. Go all in with the producer level for everything mentioned plus member shoutouts. Ready for an enhanced experience? Join now, pick your membership level, and let's make this journey even more exciting together.
All right, guys, just a reminder, today's episode is pre-recorded. My guest today is George Lunsford. He is a cryptozoologist, among being a field researcher and investigator of cryptids, the paranormal, and UFOs. He has done many jobs, from being a maintenance man to making explosives for the government. He has also been an actor for many years, doing indie feature films, commercials, book trailers, public service videos, and even a music video for Steep Canyon Rangers Long Shot. George's life was changed when he was a young man. His great-grandmother passed away, and her spirit visited him one night, sitting on the foot of his bed. She looked at him and said, "I love you," said goodbye, and disappeared. He wanted to believe it was just a dream, but could smell her scent in the room. George attended a haunted high school. In his early 20s, he also had a near-death experience from pneumonia. He saw his own body in bed, and a lady that had died in the hospital room stood there talking to him. He also saw the angel of death as he opened a portal of bright light. The spirit that was talking to him told him, "It's not your time." He laid back down and woke up to alarms going off and nurses busting around the hospital room. George has had encounters in the Bermuda Triangle, a UFO in the middle of the ocean, and many other events. George has always been interested in the paranormal, cryptids, creatures, Bigfoot, and has done a lot of research throughout his life. He has wrote many books, and he is here to share all of that knowledge and information with us today. So please welcome to the show, George Lunsford. Welcome to the show, man. Thank you for being here.
You made me sound a lot better than I feel like I am. I'm just an old country boy.
You have lived quite the life and afterlife and everything already, man. What haven't you done here?
Well, I don't know. I'm old, so you just don't know these things anymore.
Man, I read this bio the first time you sent it to me when I asked you on the show, and I'm like, Bermuda Triangle, UFOs, near-death experiences. I mean, you were a horror film actor, I've heard as well, right?
Yeah.
I mean, geez,
Some independent films, yeah.
You and I gotta say, you and I have a lot of similarities. Not necessarily in the movie and stuff, but I mean, like, I started out, I did professional wrestling. I own a haunted house attraction. I have done the cryptids. I have lived very weird stuff. You have done very weird stuff. And one of the things that I've heard you talk about on other podcasts and stuff is, you have these experiences with cryptids, with Bigfoot, and instead of like being cautious and like, oh, I wonder what that is, I'm going to play it safe, you run towards it. And that is that is the exact mindset that I have going into this, because you only live once. And all these people that say, well, you should have got the picture, you should have got the evidence and stuff. I have a GoPro strapped to my head at all times. And if I see something, I'm going towards it, whether it's growling, barking, snarling at me, what have you, I'm going to figure out what this thing is, because somebody's got to do it.
That's it. Well, I look at it this way. I'm ex-military and I'm an old mountain boy. I'm not real bright to begin with. Okay. So I usually, when I go out looking for Bigfoot or whatever, I always carry my .357 Magnum with me. I figure I can stop pretty much anything there is to stop with it. So, as long as they behave, I'll behave.
That's right. That is right, man. I want to start off here because I've heard that you've had some encounters with the dogman creatures. So I want to start there and kind of see where this goes. So I know you've talked about some of it on other shows and that, like I said. And so what have you been out in the last couple months here? Where have you been? Any adventures or anything like that?
Well, we went back over to East Tennessee. We have a hunting area over there, a research area, I should say. And that's where we found the big dogman track the first time. It was a big dogman track. It was bigger than any canine you've ever seen. and we was pushing him through the woods the whole time. And one of the tracks was so fresh, he hit a mud on the trail. He hit a piece of mud and slid. And we got there just as the water was coming back into the track. So he wasn't more than 3 to 5 minutes in front of us. And I haven't seen him yet, but I've chased several of them. And the thing about the dogman is he was there in a couple of things. We recorded a video. We was out doing a hunt, and we put the video up online, on our Facebook. And one of the people watched it, contacted us. Come to find out, there was actually a dogman crossed over and was standing about 10 foot behind me in the wood line. And I didn't even know it. About 7 feet tall.
So let me ask you this. Did you get a cast of the print?
I did not. At that time, I didn't have any. We had just got out. We didn't even get our casting stuff out yet. And we found the track, and then we just forgot about the casting and started after it. The ground was we had so much leaf cover and stuff on the ground. You could see the track and you could put your finger in the track, but it wasn't picture good, and you couldn't pour it because all you would have got would have been leaves.
No, that's understandable.
Yeah, that's the bad thing about the Appalachians.
Yeah, I think that being out in the woods and stuff like you said, I found some questionable tracks and stuff like that, and I think a lot of people don't realize, well, why didn't you get tracks? Why didn't you get the evidence? And so on and stuff like that. Like you said, there's so much. Either the ground in the woods is so hard, or there's just so much leaf and debris and stuff. There's nothing to cast.
Yeah, exactly right.
Very interesting.
I've done one casting so far, and it was of a juvenile. It didn't turn out great. I'll get a little bit. It didn't turn out great, but it turned out okay. But for my first casting, and it was a small one. It's not but about that long. Was at one of my teammates' mom and dad's house. The juvenile had come off the mountain behind the house and had come down to a planter. And the planter has a laser on there that shoots across the driveway, and anything a car goes by it lets them know in the house. Well, the juvenile was getting down there beside it and putting its hand and making it go off. So that they'd come out of the house because it got a kick out of that apparently. And it did it one night, and his mom come out of the house, and the big one up on the hill screamed. She went back in the house. There's my footprint. So this is just a small one. But you can see there's the heel, there's the metatarsal break, and there's the toes. I said it's not great, but it's around here. It's about as good as you're going to get.
I think a lot of the casts that you get that are real casts and stuff, they don't turn out great. It's not the pretty footprints that you see. And it's very rare. You have to have very specific conditions to get that kind of stuff. So
out west it's a lot easier because they don't have the hard surface that we do. They have to more forgiving terrain as far as the dirt and stuff goes. When you push down, you actually get an entire track. You don't get a little bit of track. Where I got that track at, it was still wet. The ground was still wet. And I weighed 210 pounds. And I jumped up and down beside it, and I only get about that deep. That was actually sitting there about that deep.
Wow.
And it was moving a concrete planter that the hurricane didn't even move. It kept pushing it back against the wall.
Wow. So that was in Kentucky, Tennessee, did you say?
No, that was in North Carolina.
Oh, North Carolina. I'm sorry.
That's okay. It's all good.
Yeah. I thought I heard Kentucky or Tennessee in there. I wasn't sure.
I did talk about Tennessee first.
Yeah.
So,
okay.
It's understandable. Right. I have a tendency to bounce around because my mind just works that way.
That's all right. That's all right.
It's kind of off the wall. That ping pong ball bounces off. That's my head. So
that's all right. That's all right. So was the dog man was in Tennessee then? Is that what I'm?
We had a dog man in Tennessee, and we had a dog man in North Carolina as well.
Okay.
We actually seen scratching on a tree where a dog man had been clawing the tree. and he actually clawed against the grain where a bear usually claws with the grain. And he took out some big chunks out of the tree.
Wow.
And it was up in one of our hunting area, one of our research areas.
Well, I was going to ask you, you were talking about the fresh prints and stuff that you were kind of chasing through the woods there. Did you hear the thing moving in front of you at the time, or were you just following the path?
You could barely hear it. I mean, he was moving a lot quieter than what he should have been able to. I mean, we hear every now and then you hear a limb break or you hear some leaves scuffle, but most of the time you didn't hear him move. He moved really, really quickly and really quietly. Well, Bigfoot does the same thing, and they got a huge foot, so it's not that surprising. And
you would think, being a predator, that would be kind of a commonplace thought to hear the quietness of its movement and stuff, because you're not going to sneak up on prey or anything when you're making a lot of noise in the woods.
Right. I'm actually beginning to think that the Dogman and the Bigfoot working together over there in East Tennessee, especially because we found an area, part of our research area, you could tell they had a game trail that come down, and they had blocked it up to where the game, if they comes down that trail, they had to go up this other trail. They had no choice the way everything was laid out, the way they'd pushed logs up and sticks up. So they only had one way they could go. So I think they were corralling those deer up on top and running them down that trail and then snapping their neck as they come by and get which one they want.
Natural kind of choke point there.
Yeah.
It's kind of, you think that it's like a pack mentality, like one would chase into an ambush kind of area then?
Well, we know the Bigfoot hunts in like groups. They'll actually work together. We'll have one over here, and then they'll just trap the deer in between them, or they'll work the deer around to where they can get them to an ambush point. We've found so many different ambush points and stuff out in the woods where they'd used the natural terrain to force the deer to go where they want, deer, hog, whatever, to go the way they want them to. We found a place, and we have a new research area over on South Mountain, right below Marion up here in North Carolina. It's in South Mountain. It's a part of the Appalachians. And they had the most incredible ambush point set up I've ever seen. There's a field down below, and then there's a trench that runs up, and they had laid the logs out to where the deer had to come up and go around and then down. And that's where they were ambushed them. As they come up and they made that little half circle, that's where they'd get them. We found 3 kill sites. So they're smart.
Do you find like bone piles and stuff like that as well then?
Yeah, on the kill sites we did, we actually found one of the deer carcasses was up in a tree.
That was going to be my next question.
I know it wasn't a bobcat or a cougar or nothing, because the limbs that the carcass was sitting on was no bigger around than my pinky. So nothing could have climbed up it without breaking the limbs. It was set with the neck sticking up. And it was the heaviest part of that body. So if somebody had thrown it up there, it would have been pointed down. And we actually knocked it down and started examining the carcass. And we found the neck, the bones were twisted 180 degrees around, but it snapped its neck. And the only thing that was left was the skull plate. And then right away from it, we found the jaw. The jawbone was sitting on a limb like that. They got a sense of humor.
Yeah, I was going to say, why do you think that they hang the stuff in the trees?
I think it's just a signal for the other ones. Because we found 3 deer carcasses right there in that one area. Well, parts of them.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Interesting. All right. Now, so on some of the other stuff that I've listened to as well, you talk about like finding stick structures and things like that. So one of the things that we found we have a very specific area that we were working for a while, private property. And we found these structures like teepee style structures. And we noticed on this particular 80-acre private property that the stick structures of the teepee coincided, each stick with one leg of a game trail that went off in different directions. Have you noticed anything similar to that down by you?
We don't get the teepee stuff as much down
Okay.
around the Appalachians. We get a lot of the arches. We get ambush sites. We get the X's, and we actually find arrows on the ground where they'd lay sticks out to form an arrow, and usually that points to something, whether it be a game trail or whatever. One of the game trails up in East Tennessee we found, ever so many feet, they had a twist break.
Okay.
And it was like you could see where that trail was by just looking up there and seeing the tops of the trees had been broke. And we don't, like I said, we don't find a lot of the teepees. We find a lot of balanced sticks. And that's kind of weird. I don't understand that one too well. But they'll actually balance a stick up. And I think it's almost like a trap to see if somebody comes by and knocks it over, or if another Bigfoot comes through and knocks it over. And we found one area where it looked like they'd been training the little ones, because you'd find a big arch here, then a little arch right here in front of it. You'd find an X over here, you'd find a little X on the ground in front of it. It's like they were showing them what to do, weaving in the vines and stuff, making hedgerows. They'll take and push like laurels up to one area and make like a hedgerow so they can get behind it. You can't see them, but they can see through and see you.
I'm from Wisconsin, and I know there's different things around the country and stuff, and I learned what kudzu was down in Kentucky and Tennessee. So what is a laurel?
Laurel is just it's a thick bush.
Okay.
It's real heavy. It's got a thick stalk to it.
Okay.
And they're real dense. But if you push them up together and you do it the right way, you can actually see through them one way and you can't see through the other way. And that's usually what deer hang out a lot in laurel thickets and stuff like that, because nothing can get to them without them knowing it.
Kind of like a hunting blind then.
Yeah, kind of.
Very interesting. Yeah, we got a chance to go down to Kentucky and Tennessee, and it's a different world than what we're used to down there. And the kudzu down there is this like vines and stuff that literally covers everything. The trees, the buildings, the power lines. It's really cool to see, but it's like a different world. I mean, it's like something Jurassic Park kind of stuff down there. It was really, really different to see that. So that's why it's kind of.
We got to Wisconsin every now and then.
Yeah.
I bet the Bray Road, whenever I drove one end of Bray Road to the other, and I can see how a dog man could move around up there and not even be noticed much.
Oh, yeah.
Because where we were at up in Wisconsin, you could see like a field, spot of woods, field, spot of woods, field, spot of woods. And they could just move through there with no problem as much as they wanted to. Plenty of deer, plenty of everything up there for them to eat.
Oh, yeah. Plus all the cornfields. You know, a lot of that down there is cornfields and stuff. And I mean, once you get to late summer, fall time, the corn is really high, where a 7-foot dog man could move through there and pick off deer at its leisure, because the deer there are eating the corn and in the cornfields and stuff. It's basically like a big, a bait trap for these things. And then the dog man come along and just pick them off. And it's good times.
I'm going to see a dog man up close and personal for its over with.
We've gone down, my team, to Bray Road a few times, and we've got to work with Lee Hample, whose property butts up against Bray Road there, and he's seen the dog man on the property a couple times, and we haven't gotten any dog man experiences there. We've had a lot of weird experiences on his property.
Is he the one that's got the dog man wooden statue in his front yard?
Nope, that's actually on Bray Road.
Yeah.
The dog man with the chains and stuff.
Yeah.
Got the raccoon by its feet. Yeah. Yep. No, that's on Bray Road. He's the next road over. It's Hospital Road, or I think Hospital Road runs the other way. But his property butts up against Bray Road, but the front of it's on the other side. So
that's cool.
Yeah. He's really cool.
Dog man's interesting. I'm hung up on. I started studying about dog man and found out a lot about it. And most people around the United States only think it's been around for a short period of time, but it's been around since basically the beginning of time, beginning of history, because Marco Polo wrote about dog man, so did Christopher Columbus. They wrote about tribes huge tribes, especially India, had 120,000 in one tribe, and they talked about that tribe of dogmen and how they'd go recruit them for mercenaries and stuff like that.
Mhm.
So they've been around for a long time and been pretty tough for a long time.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, I've started working. Well, I have a brand new presentation I'm doing on like the history of Dogman, and it talks about a lot of that stuff, and
Oh,
it's
that's cool.
fascinating because there's so much history, and it's around the world you have different mythologies and stuff, not just the Dogman, but in South America and Central America you had the jaguar warriors.
Mm-hmm.
In Africa you had the hyena warriors, which were
Mhm.
like basically werewolves except they turned into cats. You had the leopard and jaguar warriors over in Asia and that as well, and it's just there's so much history and stuff there that people just don't know. And I mean it's not just mythology, it's there's stories and stuff to it.
Oh yeah, and what gets me is people don't realize that some of the old explorers wrote about them,
Mhm.
so they had to see them. They didn't imagine these things wrote down in their journals. They actually what they wrote about in their journals was what they actually laid their eyes on,
Mhm.
and people don't believe it. They don't understand that.
Mhm. Yeah, it boggles my mind, just to just to I mean, there's so many different paths we can go down with this thing, and I
Oh
don't
yeah.
know, but yeah, eh, I'm at a loss now. But there's there's so many
I
things I
love doing that
want
to
to
people. I can't
say
help it.
that I'm holding my tongue on, and I can't get over this. So just people are very not open-minded, we'll say.
Well, you got to remember, most people see the world like this. They have
Mhm.
blinders on, and nothing disturbs their little world. They live
Mhm.
in this little bubble, and they're happy there. They don't want to be bothered. But once you've seen, say, a Bigfoot or a dog
Mhm.
man or a chupacabra or something like that, your world goes because
Mhm.
everything opens up, and then you realize, we're just this much of the world. We don't have a clue what's really out there.
Oh yeah. I'm the episode hasn't aired yet, but there's going to be an episode on cannibals and stuff. And in that episode, we talk about how, America is the great American melting pot, and how all these people came to America, and, all the different cultures intertwined and stuff. But yet there's so many things from around the world that we still consider like taboo, or we didn't mix into it. Like a lot of the burial traditions, a lot of the death culture and stuff like that.
Mhm.
It's all of America pretty much has this Western society view of death and the afterlife. Yet around the world, it is completely different. There are so
Oh
many
yeah.
other stories, the dragons, the mythology, the, fairy folk of Ireland and all that stuff. And here in America, like you said, we got these blinders on. And I don't understand how that is when our cultures and everything from all over the world all came here, and we still are closed-minded to that.
I don't know. I can't even answer that. It's amazing. Why I never was that way, I guess, because I always read when I was a kid growing up. I always read science fiction and science fantasy and mythology and all that stuff. So my mind was always been opened up to more because of the crap I read. I mean, I read so much mythology and stuff like that growing up, and all over the world. Greek mythology, Roman mythology, the Viking mythology. I mean, you name it, I read it back when I was young. The Celtic and all that stuff, and it just opens up your mind to where you're not stuck in this little box. You realize that there's a truth to everything, and in this truth, these people wrote these stories based off of something. Like most people don't have a clue that unicorn was mentioned in the Bible.
Mhm.
There's unicorns mentioned in the Bible.
Mhm.
It was a donkey-like creature with a single horn in it. It wasn't this big majestic like we see at the movies and stuff. And we have unicorns now. They're called unicorn goats. They're actually goats that have a single horn that grows out of the center of their head.
Yeah.
So, I mean,
Even
there's a lot of things people don't understand.
even jackalopes are real.
Yeah,
They
they
don't have
certainly are.
actual horns, but they have these bone spurs and stuff. You can look them up if you're careful
I
what
actually
you
read
search
about that.
online, and you don't look for just the general. You focus in on that. You can find pictures of rabbits with bone spurs that look like jackalopes. So,
Yeah, if I remember right, it's a fungus that hardens up and they
yeah, I think
basically
so.
grow these horns out of their heads. Yeah, out of their all different parts of their head, not just the sides.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah,
Mythology is weird. It's so
I love it.
real that you really gotta wonder. So, but since we've already kind of stumbled down this path, I know you want to talk about your new book that's coming out over in Europe and Asia and stuff like that, and some of the stories. What do you got
Yep.
cooking for us?
Well, this one's going to be the European edition. It's involved 50 countries. It's going to have everything from, I'm going to involve a lot of the cryptic creatures and stuff like that. That's just what I do. But I'm also putting in the story of like Vlad the Impaler, the real story of Vlad the Impaler, the Blood Queen in Romania. We're talking Nimrod. The story of Nimrod is an incredible story. And then you got Odysseus or Ulysses. Then I got the real Robin Hood, the real King Arthur. All these other stories I found, I'm giddy over it myself because these are a lot of stories that I heard growing up that most people's never heard.
Mm-hmm.
They've seen the movies, the remakes of the movies and stuff like that. If they realize
The
the
Disney-fied
real story
versions?
behind them is so much better. Do what?
The Disney-fied versions.
Yeah, the Disney-fied version, and they leave so much out. You know what I mean? And the Blood Queen, she was rough.
Queen, I don't think I know that one.
Elizabeth Bathory.
Okay, yep.
She was the Blood Queen. She, they got her. She believed that the blood from young maidens would make her stay young, so she bathed in it. She drank it. She had a what they call Iron Maiden type thing set up over top of a bathtub, and they'd take the girls and put them there and close it, and they'd start bleeding, and they'd leak into the bathtub, and she'd take a bath in it. And she really bought the farm in a bad way. They definitely made her pay for her sins. We won't get into that. I want everybody to read the book. So
I mean, that reminds me of like all the I've been to a lot of the medieval torture museums at like medieval times and places that. Yep. Those things, as bad as they are, just how rough people were to each other back in the day. Like the I can't think of what it's called, but the big brass bull that they put people in. The guy that actually invented it was the first person killed in it. And
one of the worst ways to die was what they did like during the witch trials. They put you on a rock, big flat rock, and they just pile rocks on top of you till it crushed you to death. Slowly.
Oh, man.
That'd be a bad way to die.
I don't know. Again, we have another episode I just recorded as well, talking about like shipwrecks and stuff, and dying of drowning is like my new least favorite way to go. I think that would be the worst. Because you're underwater, you know that you can't get back up, and you're trapped, you're suffocating, and you just kind of go. I mean, electrocution, you're pretty much quick, decapitation, all that stuff is fairly quick, and I don't know.
I don't think there's any good way. I can't think of a good way to die.
I don't know. Dying in your sleep, I suppose. That's
that works. Oh man.
But, well, that took a weird turn. All right.
Yeah, we'll tell on that, but that's okay.
That's okay. That's good. That's good. Did you? I want to circle this back here because we talked about you talked about being killed in the witch trials and stuff, which reminded me. Have you done a lot of research into the werewolf trials over in Europe?
I have not yet, but that may be in my book.
Okay. Yeah, that's really fascinating too. That over in America here, where we're doing all the witch trials and the hunting of, the prosecution of all these people and stuff. Again, over in Europe, they were doing the same thing to werewolves at the time, and hunting down those people. So, I mean,
the weird thing about America was in the Southern witch trials, it was because of several little girls.
Mm-hmm.
You know, and I'm to the point after reading about it and saying about it, they were just evil little girls. I mean, if I found somebody they didn't like, they would just say they were witches.
Yeah.
Then they'd fake all this stuff in court and then kill them. I mean, that's pretty wrong. I mean, but I'm interested in the werewolf trials. I hadn't read much about that. I've just kind of skimmed it, but it's going to be a fun read.
Oh yeah, I bet. I don't know that much about it either. I know that it happened and stuff, and I know like you said, just a little bit about it. So that's why I was interested if you knew any more. But
no, I'm slacking.
All right. No, it's interesting, you know, like we talk about history repeating itself all the time, you know, and you know, now that you have like the internet and the modern age and stuff, and somebody makes a comment online and how fast that gets turned and manipulated, and you know, you get this term, the witch hunt. And it's just like you just said, you know, these three girls started this thing of, well, that one's a witch because I don't like her. And then all of a sudden they went to trial and people are getting killed over this. And we haven't learned anything. We've been doing the same thing in new ways throughout all of history. And it's, you know, people think, oh, this is new. This is the internet. Well, pretty sure Salem did the same thing, only it was, you know, not internet worthy. So, yeah.
That'd be a little bit better actors, I guess.
They weren't on TikTok pointing fingers.
There you go. They wasn't influencers.
Yeah, man. I don't know. That's terrible.
Lord.
Okay. All right. Well, where else do we want to go? I do have go ahead.
Now, with me, there's no telling where you're going to end up at. I mean, I ramble a lot, so you know.
Yeah, no, that's cool. That's fine. I wanna get in. I know you've told it before, but I do want to get in your Bermuda Triangle story because I put that in the title. I thought it was really cool, and I would like you to kind of share that and talk a little bit about that as well, if you could.
Well, it was pretty cool. I was in the military, and I was on the AF lookout. I spent a lot of time on AF lookout now that I look back. But anyway, I was on the AF lookout, and it was a beautiful day. Man, it was gorgeous. The sky was blue. The water was just as smooth as glass. And it was just a wonderful day to be out there. And I actually volunteered to stay on AF lookout longer so that I didn't have to move because it was just a nice day. And I'm back there, and the forward lookout hollered at me. He says, "Look up the side of the ship and tell me what this is." So I leaned over, and all I see is a spot of gray up on the horizon. On the ship, the horizon's about 10 miles away. So I looked up, I said, "I don't know. It looks like a big gray spot to me. I don't know what it is." So he was watching it, and we get closer and closer and closer. And as we got closer, the gray spot was actually a wall of fog. And you couldn't see through it. You couldn't see beyond it. All you could see was this huge, we got right up to it. You could see the fog went from the water all the way up as far as you could see in the sky and as far as you could see on both sides. And we got a little, you know, this is kind of odd, but fog banks happens in the ocean. It's not that surprising. But as the ship went into the fog, all our electronics started going crazy or failing, or the compasses started spinning around. And as, of course, me being aft lookout, I was the last one to go in. As I went into the fog, the hair on my arm was standing up, almost like an electrical charge was going on. And the ship, just because the inertia of us moving, we kept going through, but nothing worked. All the gas turbines went down. I said compasses were spinning. And as we come out the other side of the fog, everything come back online like nothing had happened. So when we come out, you know, all that electricity film we had in the fog went away, and the water got choppy. It was real choppy. The sky got real gray looking. It was just a really weird feeling the whole time after we come out of it. And I'm talking, not paying attention. I look back, and there's no fog bank. It was completely gone. And we had just come out of it not 10 minutes ago. And there's no way we wouldn't move anywhere near that fast. But it was a trip.
Did you notice any like time dilation or anything?
at the time, I didn't really pay attention to anything like that. I was a young kid. I was just having fun being out in the middle of the water. So, I mean, we may have lost time on that. I don't know. The fact that everything, even my wristwatch, I had a wristwatch on. When we went in, it just stopped.
Mm-hmm.
We come out, it started just like nothing would ever affect it. It was really strange. We wasn't in the fog long enough for the ship to move through about like that. And we went in one side and out the other. And that we were totally inside the fog before the front come back out again. So, it was that big a fog bank when it should not have disappeared within 10 minutes.
Now, had you been in that area before, like traveling back and forth several times, or
tons of times?
And you've never seen anything else like that in that time?
Nope, none since. None before, none since.
Was there any other ships or anything in the area at that time that you noticed?
They were some away from us. They wasn't really where we were at, and they were civilian. They wasn't military.
So no communication among you. No. Like, are you seeing this? Are you having any problems or anything like that?
No.
Interesting.
It was wild.
I don't know. I heard you talk about that on another show, and this completely, irrelevant, I guess, but it reminded me of the TV show Extreme Ghostbusters. And they had an episode where they literally fought the Bermuda Triangle fog, and it came in and it came up from Bermuda and hit New York and came into New York and stuff. And they ended up trapping it. And all these ships and airplanes and stuff that had been lost in it, all of a sudden, like, were all over New York and in the harbor and stuff like that, that they all came back. And
that's cool.
When you were telling that story, I'm like, I've seen this somewhere. Where have I seen it? And I'm like, what's that episode of Extreme Ghostbusters? Yeah, I was a 90s kid, and I watched Extreme Ghostbusters.
That's cool. Ain't nothing wrong with that.
But yeah, no, a lot of the times you get these weird stories. I think I've heard another aircraft pilot was on a show a while ago talking about flying through Bermuda again and hitting this fog. Everything went crazy. Everything went off and stuff. That same kind of situation. It always makes me wonder, like, what in the fog is capable of stopping mechanical things like that? Like you hear, I don't know.
It's got to be something magnetic. It really does. It's got to be something magnetic, because that feeling, like I said, the energy feeling you had on your skin, it was like a charge the whole time we were in there. And I don't have no hair as it is, but what little I had back into was sticking up.
I always hear the stories of like vehicles driving down the road and the engine dies and then a UFO shows up, right?
Mm-hmm.
And I don't understand. That's the same principle there is, how do you stop a combustion engine? And then the weird thing is they claim that it restarts as soon as this craft or whatever leaves.
Mm-hmm.
And I don't understand the physics behind that, of how you would stop a combustion gas engine and have it refire on its own like that.
You got me, man. I don't know.
I wanted to try it because, like, I'm really into science and I'm really into that kind of stuff. And I wanted to try and get like some sort of, like, even a lawnmower and try and bombard it with electromagnetic energy, because you can build like generators and stuff for that, and see if that would have any effect on the way that it's running. And now I don't get it. Like you said, with a magnet, you could stop it, but because of the combustion, you would have to freeze the pistons at a certain point where they would fire again as soon as you let off, in order for that engine to pick back up.
Well, you have to have electrical charge to start your engine anyway. Like when you turn the key, you get the key.
If you run it on a battery, yeah.
Yeah, the battery starts the engine, and then the generator builds the energy back into the battery.
Mm-hmm.
So if it blocks that transmission, and then all of a sudden reinitiates that transmission with that electrical power, it would stop and start your engine. It's like turning the key off.
I suppose in a car that would make sense. Maybe in like a lawnmower or something, you don't have the battery necessarily if it's a pull start. In a vehicle, you would. So
yeah. And the same way with on the ship, you have you start it one way and you turn it off another way. It has to have some kind of electrical charge to know what to do. You either close a contactor or open a contactor.
That's weird. You don't hear so much about the Bermuda Triangle anymore. Like, at least, I'm head into this full on now lately, with doing my research and that stuff and caps and everything. And you don't hear stories as much as you used to. Bermuda Triangle, the Great Pyramids was always these big things when I was growing up, these mysteries of the world. And now it's not so much.
Well, it seems now there's a bunch of different triangles in the world.
Right.
Different areas, like you got the Dragon's Triangle over toward Japan. You got the Bridgewater Triangle. You got the Alaskan Triangle. There's like 7 or 8 of them. And it seems to me from my research, they all go through times where there really, really a lot of stuff happening here and nothing over here. And this dies off and it goes up here and happens. And this dies off and it goes over here and happens. And it just seems to be like a cycle that goes all the way around the world. It's just the way it seems to me. I might be totally wrong, but
no, that could be a good point. Yeah, because now lately you hear a lot about the Bridgewater Triangle. A lot, at least I do. So,
and a lot of it is, I hate to say this because I know it's going to sound like a conspiracy guy, but a lot of it's kept from us. I mean, a lot of people during that period, especially the 70s when stuff was happening in the Bermuda Triangle, there was a lot of traffic between the United States and Bermuda and Puerto Rico and stuff like that died down. Nobody would go that way because they was afraid of the triangle. And as soon as they started nobody hearing about it, their tourism picked back up. Their commerce and all that picked back up. And everywhere you hear about something happening, it dies down. It's like in Alaska when you had the airplanes disappearing up there, and the hikers, all their tourism dropped. Then when they stopped talking about it, it went back up again. So I'm almost to the point of believing that it's kept from us so it won't affect the money. Everything's about the money. It don't matter where you're at or what you're doing. It's always affected by the money.
That's 100% true right there. People always ask, well, do you think the government knows about Bigfoot or these dogman and stuff? And yeah, 100%. Well, why don't they tell us? Well, again, it's because of the money. It all boils down to
releasing stuff on Kennedy. He's been dead 60 years. I mean,
nope.
They ain't going to tell us nothing that they don't want us to know. And they still didn't get all the stuff about Kennedy released. They released a lot of it, but not all of it. They may never release all of it because they're not going to say, the CIA killed him. That you're not going to hear that. And he was causing trouble when it come to it was going to hurt money coming in to these Black Ops groups because he was going to pull out of Vietnam. And that would have hurt the CIA and several other groups because they'd lost all that money washing they were doing at the time. I've seen photos and videos where the CIA were funding or dropping off weapons to the North Koreans. North Vietnamese. I've seen them. I've seen the pictures of stuff that were taken, and they wasn't supposed to be taken, but certain people. So,
yeah. What do you think of all the UFO stuff that's going through?
Honestly, I kind of almost look at it as if we're being prepped.
Yeah.
Because we're reaching a point now, especially with AI and all that, we're reaching a point to where we're discovering more about what's out there simply because of the AI. When we get into AIG and AIS and all that, within the next 5 years, we're going to have incredible technology where we'll be able to do whatever we want to. Mm-hmm. Which is bad because if they're trying to keep, other planets away from us and all that stuff about them, we're actually reaching the technology. We'll be able to reach out there to them. And they don't want that because as long as they can keep us, this is your world, this is what it is, they can control money, they can control everything else. Once you lose that power, you don't get it back.
No, I agree. I agree. Do you think that we're being prepped for actual, not disclosure, but actual real information, or do you think that this is all a false flag as well?
A lot of people's thinking false flag. I'm thinking no. There's too many species that are here already that people don't know about. And I'm thinking that's all about to come to a big head. It's going to come quickly, just simply like I said, because of technology. When you start opening up those doors, you get a quantum computer that solved a unanswerable question in 4 hours, and it would have took a supercomputer 100,000 years to answer it. Something's coming. I mean, we were ignored up till we hit nuclear power. When we hit nuclear power, that's when a lot of the UFO stuff really started. And it was kept away from us. And even the videos and the film people took with Super 8 cameras, all that was kept away from you because they didn't want you to know, we've achieved that milestone in the world's history. So, I mean, they're saying they're finding now that under the pyramids now they're finding chambers that look like energy chambers, and that would go right along with energy ways to charge up and your UFO when you come in to check us out. So I don't know. We're just going to have to wait and see. We're getting ready to get into a real interesting time, and I got a feeling you're going to see a lot more of the cryptids coming to surface than what you've ever seen before.
Yeah,
a lot more. I seen 4 in the last year.
Oh yeah, what have you seen?
I've seen an 8.5 foot Bigfoot, which was the very first one I ever seen. I seen 2 small ones, but in different areas. The bed's about 3 to 4 foot high. Then I seen a 7 foot one who was picking around a tree at me. And I went back. We went to where we come back around where he's at. We come back to where he's at, and we actually found his footprint. And I measured the tree where I seen top of his head out. He was 7 foot. And he also almost took my head off with a rock. It dunked the rock down about the size of a baseball. Then missed my head by about 16 inches. Destroyed the limb behind me. So I took off up the hill after him, and he jumped down the other side.
I feel more and more that it's not a miss. I think that is deliberate of a warning shot. I think that if they're very capable of hitting what they wanted. And, yeah.
Well, the funny thing was after that happened is when I seen one of the little ones. We come around, the trail come around like this. As we come around the trail up on the side of the mountain, something caught my eye. I looked up, and these robins started flying down towards us. Well, in the wild, robins don't fly to you. Well, they was flying to us to get away from what was up there. And I seen a little one. I was probably maybe 30 yards. And this thing run across and dropped in behind a bush. So I moved to see if I could see it. It jumped up from behind the bush and run back the other way and dropped down on all 4s and disappeared. But it was definitely not a bear. There's definitely nothing else up there. But it was running on 2 legs, and it was fast, covered with hair. It was a little darker than a regular brown, not a dark brown, but a medium brown. And son, he was scooting.
It's probably why you got the rock thrown at you, kind of like distract you, get you out of there kind of thing. Yeah.
I had 5 thrown at me that day. They started throwing. We got out of the truck, and the first one hit. Boom. It was like, what in the world's going on? We looked. There's nobody else anywhere close to us. Nobody, because where we were at, you had to drive way up on the mountain on a dirt road, 1-lane dirt road, to get to where we was going to our hunting area, our investigation area. So we knew there was nobody around, and we were followed the whole time we were there. We found footprints. We found I think it was a 16-inch track And then we found a bunch of small tracks all in a row. We had walked through a muddy area, and I guess I didn't pay attention. I walked that muddy area. You can see the little ones were probably 3 foot apart, and you could just count them as they walked up the road there. And they come around, and they were somewhere on the trail not far ahead of us. And they threw rocks to distract us and keep us stopping, because every time we stopped, they'd move a little farther on ahead of us. And they went all the way up to the top of the ridge, and when we seen them, they'd come down the ridge. And that's where I seen that little one, where he come down the ridge and dove behind the bush.
It makes sense. If these things, they got to be natural. They got to be, every behavioral pattern that we see in them makes sense. They're distracting you from the young. They're protecting their young. They're protecting a food source. It all makes sense. It all adds up. If it was some weird thing or whatever, or I don't know.
Well, Melba Ketchum, she's a scientist over in, I think, University of Buffalo. I'm not real sure. But in her research, she does the Bigfoot Genome Project.
Mm-hmm.
And she has found that Bigfoot does have human DNA in its DNA. So we know that it's somewhere related to us. And I still believe that it's where the giants were here, and they were run off and they run into the caves and stuff, and they've evolved. I think they're the evolution of giants in that way compared to what we did. We grew up a separate track. So I think they're smart enough to do it. I mean, they can talk, they have a language, they communicate back and forth, they plan their attacks for ambushing their animals. I mean, they work as a team, they can work separately. They're able to process and calculate better than we are in some conditions, in some ways. They actually set up areas where they can watch you and you can't watch them. All that takes intelligence.
Mm-hmm. Absolutely, man. Well, we are coming up at the end of the hour here. It's been
sorry about that.
No, it's fine. It's been a great conversation, and just definitely led everywhere that it was going to go. So
I'm sorry.
no, it was fun. I hope everyone else enjoyed it as much as I have, because so many interesting things here. And I know you want to talk about your research group, talk about that, promote it. Where can people find about you and all your work that you're doing?
Okay. I'm part of the group. Well, I'm actually one of the founding members. There's 2 of us. We started NCI, North Carolina Investigates, and now we're up to about 8 people now, all over the United States. We've got people in Michigan, we got people in Maryland, we got people in California, and everywhere. But we're on Channel 12 TV network. We have our own channel now. We're located on Roku, Fire Stick, Apple TV, Chromecast, and Google TV. And of course, there's apps out there. And there's our logo. Come and check us out. We're subscription based, so we'd love to have you. We've got everything in the world on our channel. You will not be disappointed. We have us. We have a band called Route 66. They're to talk about all their tour and their music and everything. We have professional wrestling now. We have everything. Just come and check us out. You won't be disappointed. And of course, I got a new book coming out no later than December. It's called Legends, Myths, Monsters, and Ghosts, the European edition. And you're going to love it. I have more fun with this, but I love the United States one. I love the North American one, but this European has got some of the great stories.
You've got seven books out, but 3 of the main ones you said are still in print, correct? So we got Legends, Myths, Monsters, and Ghosts North America edition. We have the U.S. edition and Monsters of the World, a reference guide.
If you like cryptids, that's the one you want to get. It has 104 different cryptid creatures from all over the world, and has 26 encounters that were sent to me to put in the book.
Wow. Is it a dog man coming out of a tree?
Yep. Coming through a knothole.
Yeah, he's got his little poof hanging out over there on the side. So Very good. Very good.
There you go.
Awesome.
There you go.
Awesome. Very cool.
And if you want to see us, we're going to be at Townsend, Tennessee, May 3rd. We're going to be at the Smoky Mountain Bigfoot Festival.
Nice.
My whole team will be there. Well, not the whole team. A lot of my team will be there. We'll be, selling stuff. We'll be talking about all our hunts. We'll have a video going. We're going to have stuff you can buy, pictures we'll sign for you, whatever you want to do. We're just going to be there hanging out. Come by and see us. We're also going to be at the Waynesville, North Carolina Bigfoot Conference and the Burnsville, North Carolina Bigfoot Conference. And I've got a few more things I'm working on getting us. I hadn't got them yet, but I'm working on it.
Very nice. Awesome, man. Where can people find all that information?
You can go to my website or you can find me on Facebook, Instagram. I'm everywhere. I'm like a bad penny. I just kind of show up. So but my website is authorgeorgelunsford.x10host.com. My beautiful wife takes care of my website because she's smart and I'm just an old dumb country boy. So I imported her from New Orleans.
Oh,
that's why I'm fat. Yeah. So.
All the cooking?
The cooking and plus, she's a lot smarter than I am too. She's got like master's degrees and all that, and I'm just here.
Nothing wrong with that, man. Nothing wrong with that. Well, we got that stuff in the show notes for anybody that's listening. All the links for you guys to check out the books and I will get links to your website and stuff, or your TV station as well in there before we head out. So
I appreciate you're an officer and a gentleman, my friend.
I do what I can. I try. Well, thank you so much for coming on. I really appreciate it. And it's been a lot of fun. And I look forward to having you back for some more weird tales and stories.
Thank you. I enjoyed it. Thank you.
Awesome. You take care, man. I'll talk to you later.
Bye-bye.
All right, guys, that is our show for this week. I hope that you enjoyed it. Head on over to all of George's links in the show notes. Check out his YouTube channel and all of his Instagram and everywhere that you can find him. Make sure you grab his new book coming out very soon here as well. And if you'd like to see him, head on out to one of the conventions or something that he's going to be at. So make sure you get all that stuff and make sure that you like, subscribe, and share all things here on the Untold Radio Network, as well as Cryptids, Anomalies, and the Paranormal Society. Until next time, guys, I'll see you on the edge.